Hello to the new video of my channel. In the previous videos I've talked about how to install Flatpaks, how to set up Reaper, how to set up your operating system in EndeavorsOS, Arch Linux, for music production, etc. I mean, nowadays where Microsoft is becoming more and more obsessive and the distrust people are having towards Microsoft is absolutely justified and is becoming more and more prevalent. Now many are going to ask themselves, if I want to switch to Linux, which distro should I use? How should I go about it, etc. With the recent news, Windows recall, etc. And many people, are desperately trying to jump, trying to keep the privacy, etc. Completely understandable. This playlist specifically is going to talk about audio production, but I will also make videos about, working with EndeavorsOS in general. Because what I have to say that, for example, in parts like gaming, Reaper has gotten way better. Because earlier you need to work with Wine, install all the dependencies, and it didn't work properly. Now that Valve has, worked with Proton, the compatibility layer between, Windows games and the Linux environment, the stability has gone way up. I mean, there's of course still a long way to go, but what I can say is that it's rapidly improving. Then in generally video production, etc. I mean, of course, there are some NVIDIA GPU and Wayland compatibility issues that are still prevalent, but it's rapidly improving so that the Linux of today is not comparable to Linux of 3 years ago. Many people would recommend Linux Mint, absolutely justified, amazing, easy to use for beginners. This playlist of mine, is focusing on EndeavorsOS, which is on Arch Linux. In this playlist, I will talk about, setting up Arch Linux for audio production specifically. I will make different videos in different playlists for EndeavorsOS, Arch Linux in general, not just audio production. So, yeah. What is this video going to be about? This video is going to be about system updates. How do you do them? Flatpak updates. How do you do them? Working with multiple drives, aka keyword is gnome-disk-utility. Installing Linux audio plugins, Arch user repository audio plugins, general.os plugins, installing audio plugins via Discover. Then in the next step I will talk about installing Windows VST plugins via bottles, working with Yabridge, and solving the error. Have fun with this video. The previous videos, as I said previously, we did some setups, some installations of important programs, etc. And now I'm going to talk about updates. One huge advantage Linux has over Windows, updates only happen when you want them to. The operating system is not going to force them down your throat. You need to make this update now or in 3 hours. It will be forced upon you. You have complete choice of your operating system and thereby also complete choice about when certain updates are being made. So now that we are back in EndeavorsOS, the first thing I'm going to show you how to make updates. So open your terminal and type in sudo Pacman -syu and press enter. Password. Okay, I mean I've already done previously the update, and here you can see ignore pactual actualization. This is because when staging I'm going to explain it later on to you. So there's a reason for that. Now, if you want to update packages of the official repository, but also the packages in the yay, so the Arch user repository, you type in yay and then enter. And here you can see there's some to be made. Okay, it's going to take a while. And we have installed Flatpaks, and these Flatpaks need to be updated separately. Flatpak update. So there one needs to be updated. Enter. Finalization finished. Now, one thing you will notice that system updates and Flatpak updates are happening separately. What do I mean with that? Flatpak updates, because Flatpak is its own individual environment. And with Flatseal, the permission manager, I'm going to show it later, don't worry, you make basically trading routes between two different islands. You can think about it like that. I will show it to you. And yeah, it's, once you have understood it, it's really easy to use. Now, working with multiple drive management. Because maybe you have, important files on your boot drive, but you also different NVMe or external drives. You want to link them to your computer so they automatically check into the system at boot up. I'm going to show you that. How do you create mount points? What are mount points? How do you set them up to work properly? How do you set up that you have writing privileges and permissions upon these drives? This will, I'm going to explain this part. So now we are going to enable different drive. I'll just show you. Dolphin. So this is the boot drive of mine, and this is other drives. Now, most likely you will have the problem that you need, every time you reboot the system, start up, you need to link these drives in. We are going to change that, so they boot up automatically into your system with all rights, privileges, etc. So what you need to do, go to the root directive with bin, boot, dev, drives, etc. Open terminal and press in sudo, let me make it bigger, mkdir drives. And then type in your password. I've already created this directive here. So what to play? Press ls to show all the folders. This is how you see all the subdirectives inside the terminal. And we are going enter cd drives. And I've already created different folders. So sudo mkdir and then the name of the folder you want to create. Why are we doing this? So let me just close it. Drives. So here I've created different files. Micron, VD, and the other Samsung SSD. Why am I doing this? Because these are the mount points. How are they usable? You open the terminal and you're going to download a program. -s gnome-disk-utility. Search function or Windows Home key and disk. Now this program here will open. If now the 1 terabyte SSD, this is the boot drive. And when you go there, partition settings, edit mount options, and you can see the system could not work correctly if you change anything. That's because this is when you see this, then you are on the boot drive. And what that means, you are going to make no changes on these drives, only on the other ones. What you are going to do, edit mount options, disable this setting, so that the pointer is on the left, enable start at system boot, really important, and now mount point. As you can see, it's drives in Samsung. I've created this drives folder and inside Samsung's folder. So what I'm going to do, I've already linked it, but on top of here, double click and copy, paste it in here. I've already done this process, and the same process with all the other drives. Edit mount options, disable this one, enable this one, and copy, paste. So the Micron, and yeah, this is how you first of all create a mount point for the external drives inside your main drive, and just allow these drives to boot up automatically at system boot, so they are automatically linked into the system. Another thing we are going to do with all the drives except the boot drive, go to mount options and gain ownership, activate recursive mode, OK. And do this with all the drives which are not the boot drive. And that's basically already it. And installing Linux VST plugins. How do you work with them? How do you do that? Really easy. Because you just need to go to the Arch user repository, copy paste y-s, copy paste, and then automatically download it. Then you can also install them via Discover, the app store I've shown you previously. Now we are going to install audio plugins. So what you're going to do, so terminal here, open a browser and type in AUR, Arch Linux user repository, package search, type in VST, VST3, clap, any of those, so VST. You can see blue mark text, and now we are going to install something from there. Just enable this one, copy paste, y-s, and copy paste it into the terminal, and then enter. And you can do this with all the blue mark text. Copy paste it into the terminal, and this is how you download plugins from the Arch user repository. I mean, in later videos I'm going to make a showcase of the different plugins, etc. But this is how you do this. Some Reaper options, preferences, VST, edit path list, add path, and a directive in which the linux.so files are being stored in. This is how you link them into Reaper. One important part is working with Windows VST plugins, because Linux is a different operating system than Windows, obviously. Then how do you install these plugins? First of all, you install them via bottles. I'm also going to show you the flat seal. I'm also going to show you the flat seal permission. So, because you need to give bottles extra permissions to access different drives. This is really important. So how do you install them, how do you work with them, etc. So now we go to installing Windows VST plugins, because so now I'm the directive in which the .x files are inside. One thing you need to know firsthand. This is the boot drive, but this is the drive on which the .ex files are being stored in, because open with bottles. Okay, it's already there. Open with bottles. Right click, open with bottles. Now I can go there, and I'm already in the menu, which allows me to choose between the different containers I've created inside bottle. Most likely, when you are trying to do this, you right click, etc., open with, and open with bottles, nothing happens. Why is that the case? Because the .ex files are on a different drive than the boot drive. And how do you solve this issue? Open flat seal, top left, search bottles, and file system, all system data, file system host, you need to enable this one. And then try again. So you can open with bottles, whichever container you want to install it, choose, and then go for the installation process. Because to make working with bottles easier, now this is the different bottles I've created. Settings, bottles directory, because I have made it directly on the non-boot SSD. What do I mean to say is change this bottle directory to your desktop or some place which is easy accessible to you, so you don't have to permanently search for it. But that's entirely your choice. Because if you are going there, so bottles, the two different bottles directories containers I've created, open one, drive C, and you can see it perfectly emulates how it would look inside Windows. So program files, program file x86, program data, etc. with all that data. Now that we have installed them, we are going to work with Yabridge. What is Yabridge? Yabridge is a bridging device between Windows VST plugins and the Linux audio production program host, so that you channel programs or Windows programs into a format Linux Reaper can read. I will show you the commands you need to use, how do you set them up, etc. Then when you're trying to install, plugins, then when you try to use the sync command, you will stumble upon the Yabridge slip host 32 error. And how do you solve this issue? That's because the Wine version is not compatible with the Yabridge version. And how do you solve it? You download the downgrade program, downgrade Wine staging, because Wine staging I've installed in a previous video. And then downgrade it to the version I'm going to show you, and now it works. Now. So now we've installed plugins. You've installed thousands of Windows plugins inside bottles, etc. Now these are .dll, .vst3, .clap, etc. files. Reaper still cannot work with them. So how do we solve this issue? Because now we are going to install Yabridge. So you type in the terminal -s yabridgectl. Password. I've already installed it. Of course, you press yes. And now we are going to do the following. So let's leave. Yeah, close window, doesn't matter. So now open any Dolphin. So since I've made the bottles directory right here, it's easier accessible to me. So push it right here. Terminal over there. So bottles directory, VSTs, drive C, program files. And now what we're going to do is, for example, VST plugins. Here are the Windows VST plugins. Double click. Copy yabridgectl, add, exclamation mark, copy paste it in, exclamation mark again, and then press enter. This is how you add these different directives in which the Windows VST plugins are stored inside. You do this with VST 64 and of course, common files. So this here, double click, copy paste, yabridgectl, add, exclamation mark, and this with all of them here. So you have to look here. So, because then you can press yabridgectl list. I have already added many different directives. So, common files, Steinberg. Yeah, so you can see most of them in bottles, others on different external drives. But this is how you add directives in which Windows plugins are stored into, so that Yabridge has access to them. And what you finally, clear, you press yabridgectl sync. Now with this process, I mean, as I've seen, I've already added many different directives to it, but what this does, it formats Windows plugins into a format Linux Reaper can read. So, because it's going to take a while. Effects, for example, bias effects 2. As you can see, it's perfectly loaded, sounds amazing, etc. And this is a Windows plugin running through Myrn inside Reaper without any problems. Now, what happens? So maybe you have tried the yabridge sync command and then you stumbled upon yabridge host 32 error. How do you solve this one? This is because the wine staging version is incompatible with the Yabridge version. So what we are doing, -s downgrade, you press yes, and then sudo downgrade wine staging press in 143, so that we have this version here, 8.21. Press enter, you press yes, and then it's going to ask you a question if you want to disable wine staging from receiving further updates between the version. I'm going to explain it later what I mean exactly with that, but do you remember at the beginning of this video, sudo pacman -syu, ignore package actualization 8.21-1 to 98-1, because when you're doing this command, sudo downgrade, press the version number, the terminal is asking you a question. Do you want to disable this program by receiving further updates between certain versions? You press just yes to this. And this is how you solve the Yabridge error. I mean, I'm going to be on the lookout for further wine staging, newer wine staging versions, and if there's a version that works, yeah, I will be talking about this. But right now, this is how you make it work.